I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and welcome to another Tuesday night here where I am going live here on Facebook. You might be watching the YouTube replay, so thank you if you do. Don't forget to comment if you're watching the replay, whether it be Facebook or on the YouTube when I finally get on there. That'd be great. But tonight I'm going to show you something that I've actually been using myself for quite a while, and I just hadn't quite got it all together and organised so that I could actually put it as a product in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. But it is there today because I need it myself. And that was part of the thing. I actually really needed to make sure I had it all, because I had bits and pieces all over the place and it wasn't in one spot. So it's like, no, I'm getting it organised today because I actually need it. And I had just about it all ready in there to go and ready for the product. So as I'm talking the concepts of music tonight, I know I normally talk about the elements of music, but where I teach, I use the concepts of music. So there's 6 concepts of music. Sorry. There we go, 6 concepts of music, and I talk about those. And I know a lot of people use the elements of music, and some, there's some debate about how many of those are and what you actually put underneath those things. I normally talk about 8 elements of music, and as I said, I use the 6 concepts of music when I'm actually teaching. So in my state, in my classroom, that's what I'm actually required to do, is to talk about the 6 concepts of music, especially when it gets towards my senior classes, because that's what they actually get examined on. Besides performances, they also get examined on a listening exam, which is probably one of the weirdest exams ever, but they get 4 pieces of music to listen to. They're timed listening, so they only get like so much of a piece of music, and then it gets repeated and there's gaps in between, like silence in between. They have to respond with a question to those to that. So I talked about last week backward mapping, and part of the reason I love backward mapping is because I take it a bit further. I don't look at just the year. I look at my kids from 7 to 12. I look at what I'm teaching them in year 7 and where I need them to be in year 12. And that's where I make sure that I'm forever moving them along and progressing them towards that exam towards the end. Now, this exam, I'm not teaching to an exam. Please don't think I'm doing that, because the skills that they need and the terminology that we use all the way along is really important as a musician, whether you are a performer, whether you are a composer, whether you are someone who actually likes to write about music, all those sorts of things. So that is why it's really important. So let me just turn that air conditioner off now. We're about to get a big storm here. So hopefully, why won't that go off? Okay, anyway, I think it is. I might turn this one down, sorry. All right. So I'm going to share my screen, but before I do, I'll show you what I mean. So when I talk about the concepts, I'll put it here. I was organised. Okay, so I'm actually going to be talking about tone colour this month. Well, actually for a couple of weeks, tone colour, but some people might refer to it as timbre. Okay, that used to be what we call, but tone colour for us is a bit more involved. It's not just about the way an instrument sounds. That goes into tone colour, but it's just, yeah, it's one of the concepts of music. So in this book, which is, what I love for teaching my kids in the concepts of music in my senior classes. Okay, this one goes into great detail. Again, it's available in my store. But here's the thing. So mind maps, I had them marked so I could find them. So here's the concept of music mind maps you can see in here. Okay, and so you can see that, and I'm going to go through that on the screen in a minute, so I'm not going to explain what that is there. And if I go to, so you can see them in here, and I refer to them a lot, and my kids almost get sick of me because it's, but there, and then it is here. But the other thing is the kids actually were going, Miss, I'd really like a copy of that, please. So that was why I sort of started, going, oh, well, okay, you really need a copy of that. And so when I do get back to school, one of the things I will be doing is actually making copies, the coloured copies of those into posters, which is one of the reasons I'll talk about how you could actually use these tonight. Okay, the elements of music. The other way you can do it now, this is one of my favourites. Now, I have printed. Sorry, my printer's not real good here, and again, I'm not at work, so I can't show you. So here we go. So if you wanted to, you could print 1 to a page already. So that's 1 to a page. I said, what I'll be doing is printing these. That's A4 size, A3, which is twice that size, and they make a really, really good poster at school. So you can easily see and refer to the concepts of music and all of them around the classroom. So that's those ones, the concepts, that's full page. Another way you could do it is print 2 to a page. So you can see here I've got 2 on the 1 page, and I'll show you how and what I'll use those with in a moment. So that's a good size, especially if you wanted kids to share the concepts. Okay, you could, if you want to, and that's just printing color ones. You could, if you want to, print 4 to a page. Now this is another good way to do it, because then these are perfect size for kids to have their own little copy. Okay, so this is actually my Elements of Music one. I'm sorry, but I couldn't print this, but I'd use the same thing. Where's my Elements? So you can see that's the Elements of Music one. My intention is to get a set of these to each of my kids when I get back to work, but as I said, my printer here is not very happy, so I was not going to print today because it was going to look pretty dodgy, because I'm not real happy with that. But that's what it comes down to, is a 4 to a page. And then you can, as I said, you can see, you can loop them together, and then the kids, you know, refer to them quite easily. And that's a really, really good resource for the kids to have. Or if you want to, print them big. So print them, instead of printing them onto colored paper, print them onto color, sorry, instead of printing colored versions of them, use the black and white ones and print onto colored paper. And as you can see, you know, if you want to do dynamics, okay, all right, there's you know, and things like texture, I do yellow, so here we go, and texture. So, you know, and what I like about this is when I do use this in the classroom like this, as I'll say, go to the yellow one. Right, we're doing texture today, go to the yellow one, or go to the light green one. That's what we're looking at, tone color today. Okay, so, or whatever it happens to be, or structure, I always do as blue. Okay, so that's just the way that is. And you can see so much so that I color coordinated, because there's green, the green here for tone color. Okay, so that's what I do. So I'm going to share screen. So as I said, that's some ways you could print it, but I'm going to talk about it and show you what's actually in the resource. And so you can actually see what you're getting. So I'm just, here we go. So the good old, let me just make sure that that's actually there and go to that before I do. So let me go back here. Okay, and share screen. Okay, so this is the actual product itself. Okay, so it's the Concepts of Music mind maps, you can see there. So then we go straight into it. So there's colored versions with, now the thing is, what I've done is, sorry, yeah, I did do that right. Oh, I should say, on this page, it's really important that you know that this page has the blog link and the YouTube link. So I know they say the Elements of Music, but you know, the only thing that's really different is for pitch, is melody, harmony, and tonality comes under the same banner. Okay, so that's the only thing you really need to worry about. And some of those expressive techniques that we refer to come under other things as well. Okay, so I didn't turn that on. There we go. All right, here we go. So you can see here, this is the one I will be using myself for the actual big posters. Okay, this is the ones I'm going to be using. So we've got Concepts of Music, writing about music. So we've got pitch, dynamics and expressive techniques, duration, tone color, instrument families, instrument, the Horns-Bostel one, which is the instrument classification, structure, texture. And then we've got the same things with just the main parts label. So if you prefer, you could just have this, so it doesn't have the actual other parts. So it's just got the main parts that you need to think about for this. So depending on the age of your kids and what you need information, you need them to have. So again, that's just another colored version of the same thing. Okay, now this is where it gets a bit different. So this is a black and white one. So if you want, one thing I like about this is, personally, I've got some kids in my class who are what we call life skills in my senior class, and this lovely young person really struggles to get a lot of the information down. So I can differentiate by the rest of the class having this without the writing, and she can have that. So they're copying things down, but I'll get her to maybe highlight something or add maybe just small parts to it or color it or something. So she's got some way that she's still being involved in the lesson. But there's, you know, it's just a different delivery. So this is one way you can do it. So this is one, as I said, with all the parts labeled and the definitions, just like the colored one. My kids like getting these and colouring them in. Now, depending on what you want, you might want to give this to your students and say, okay, this is the thing, display the other one, the colour one, and then get them to actually write the definitions. Again, a really good way for them to actually learn. And then it works out really well if you pop it into their exercise books. Okay, you can see all the different ones there. Was I missing something on those ones? I was. I will have to fix that one up. Dynamics and expressive techniques. I'll go back and do that. I don't know why that was there. You can see all those. And then lastly, it's just with the boxes. So nothing's labeled, nothing labeled at all, which again is really handy. And then again, this is just with the actual concept in the middle and nothing else. So this, again, fantastic for kids. Now, I use these ones in particular. I go back to this one. I use these ones in particular if we are doing listening, and I'll get them to put information around the in the boxes and the little thingies, and then we listen to a piece of music and we use the actual element, the mind map, to put information around it. So it's a good way to actually get the kids writing about music without actually answering questions and stuff. It's just another nice way to get them thinking. And that should be all of them, and obviously that. So I'm just going to stop share there for the moment, and I'm going to go back to here. If I go here, and actually I'll start there. So I'll share screen again and just show you. So I said, these are, look, I love these things. I use them so much, as you can see, because I love having these sort of manipulatives for the kids, things for them to actually put in their hand, to have a look, to refer to. And it's the same thing as said, I can't wait to make my own sets for my kids to do this. Okay, it'll be a really good way for them to actually use it. But I'm going to show you another way of how I actually use this in my class as well. So let me go there, and let me go to slideshow from beginning. Come on. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that one. Okay. So here's our concepts of music. So the main one, like the thing is, we normally are doing the elements of music, and I said there's 8 of those. There's only 6 of these. So we've got duration, which is how long or short a sound is. Another name for it could be rhythm. Dynamics and expressive techniques. Now this is where, for me, this is a bit of a crossover, because it is not only talking about the dynamics, but all the expressive techniques that an instrument uses to make a sound, which crosses over quite a bit with tone color. However, another way to think about it is all the Italian terms. Essentially, it's all the Italian terms. So anything that's your staccato, pizzicato, legato, arco, allegro, andante, all those terms come under dynamics and expressive techniques. So your Italian terms. Okay, pitch is how high or lower sound is, basically. But again, for the 8 elements of music, melody, harmony and tonality come under that umbrella. Structure or form, okay. Texture is texture, and tone color, which I'm going to focus on next week. But tone color is like some people would call it timbre, but as I said, it's a bit more than timbre or performing media, because it's not only the instruments used in the piece, but how they're classified, how they're being performed, what role are they playing. So there's a lot to go with that actual concept, which we're going to talk about next week. So let's have a look at the mind maps. So as I said, these are available in my store right now, and there are 6 sets, and you can see that there are the 2 coloured ones. You can see the different coloured ones there, the concepts and music mind maps there. And then there's, as you can see, there's 6 sets. And the thing is that I love about these, there's both printable black and white ones, and the full colour sets are available, depending on what you want to do and depending on what your budget allows you in the classroom. That's another thing. They're fantastic for your music appreciation classes, and they're just good things to have around the room. Again, even for performance, like, okay, if you're trying to get a student to actually improve their performances, and maybe dynamics is something you're looking at, well, then you get them to have a look at the mind map and say, well, what could you be improving? What do you need to do there to make that better? Okay, what about your dynamics? What can you add or take out of, instead of everything being loud, maybe you need some louds and softs. Okay, these are the sorts of things that you need to think about. Okay, so there's one set, the coloured one, which has got everything labelled. Okay, so it's got the definitions, it's got the colour, and it's got all the bits and pieces that you should be referring to when you're writing about music. And the second set is just the main parts labelled, no definitions. Okay. Now set 3 in the black and white, again, everything's labelled, but nothing's actually, there's no definitions actually in the box, depending on how you want it to look. And then there's, again, the main parts labeled with boxes, text boxes to write into. Now, it's funny, I never used to do these sorts of things and add those boxes, but I had a colleague many years ago who absolutely freaked out. I gave them some actual, it was a worksheet, something like this, and it had space for the kids to write, but didn't have lines for the kids to write. And I saw them and they were ruling lines. I said, what are you doing? Oh, can't give it to them without that. They have to have lines to write into. It's like, oh, okay. So, you know, I don't like writing on lines, but other people do. Some people don't like writing in boxes. Other people do. So that's why I'm giving you both the options. And plus, with the black and white ones, you can get them to color it in. It's a nice little lesson. And then again, you've got the black and white. Set 5 is it's just got the main concept in the middle, and then all the boxes around the outside that need all the information. This is the best one to get your kids to actually write into and using for getting down all the information onto the page for putting in their book when they're first learning it. I would be using, have I got it there? No, must be the next one, sorry. And this is the one I prefer to use when we're actually doing a listening activity, okay, or a performance activity, but listening mainly, because I get them to write that down, fill in the main boxes, and then I get them to put the information around it for the pieces of music that we're actually doing. Okay, and as I showed you before, there's a page that has the links there, which is really helpful, especially when you're like me and you're not in class at the moment. You need your kids to do something. You can at least give the substitute teacher, here's the blog link. They probably can't get onto YouTube, but at least they can see the blog link and they can get all the information over there that they need. And the other thing that's great about them is if you actually do a screenshot and pop it into things, you can use it digitally as well, which I might be having to do soon. So it might be a digital copy coming. So I'm just haven't quite got there yet myself. So I'll just go back to that one. Now, the thing is, as I said, there's lots of ways to use these concepts in music mind maps. You will have, I'm sure, different ways than what I do, but posters for worksheets as part of a center. Okay, if you do centers in your music classroom, try laminating sets as you saw like I did. For using with small group listening work, it's fantastic, or even individual work, and even for distance learning lessons, which you can see here. It's really good for those sorts of activities. Now, the other thing I'm using them for at the moment, this is actually coming straight out of an assessment that my Year 12 students are doing. And at the moment, they're doing what I call the oral logbook. And I gave it to them last year, and it'll be due in about 6 weeks' time. They've got there's 12 questions. But what I did was, and I do this all the time, and I always have given them the page that says define what the question's asking you and plan what the question's asking you. But I gave them an extra page this time with the mind maps, and you can see here they've got the mind maps for this particular question. And the question is over on the side, says discuss. Oh, that should be discuss the use of pitch in this excerpt. So that's my typing, bad typing. But the thing is, the kids get this; they can listen to that piece of music as often as they need. And the whole idea is that they actually give me a perfect answer. Perfect. As best as an answer as they can possibly create, because they should have defined it, they should have planned it before they put it on the page. So they should have, there's no excuses for not having a decent answer. And the thing is, once they do this, I find that they actually have a really, really good understanding. It's a really good revision. And you can see here, this particular question is over there. You can see it says, discuss how dynamics and expressive techniques are explored with specific reference to the structure. So these are the sorts of questions they get in the exam. And that's why they've got two different mind maps there. We've got dynamics and expressive techniques as well as structure. Now, it's not a lot of space to plan on that page. You know, they might need the other one. But again, this is just something it hopefully is jogging their memory, because we have done all these in class and they've used these mind maps before, so they know that it's, again, something very familiar for them that they know. And this is part of an assessment. So technically, more of the information that I'm marking is on the actual question for, like, the actual pages there, but I look at the plan and I look at the definition to see if they've done it, because here's the thing, if they've done those two parts, then their questions, like their response, is actually really good, usually really good. The kids who haven't done the plans, it shows in their actual response. So some of the ways you can use it are, these are my favorites. Okay, print onto coloured paper and use for a music classroom display. If you can, I would do that. Print 2 to a page and laminate for students to refer to in a music appreciation lesson, which I showed you before. As said, they fit nicely as 2 to a page. Print and use as an introduction to each of the concepts of music. Now, I said that's what I use them for all the time. This is what we're doing. Like when I get back to school, our first thing we'll be doing is tone color, and we're going to be looking at instruments. And so I'll use the mind map as our first port of call to actually do. That'll be our first lesson, and it's also good as a pre-knowledge lesson. We're supposed to ask them what's their prior knowledge about topics. So some kids might actually be able to fill that in for me a little bit more, and then we can do it as a class. And hopefully we can compare those. Another great lesson for using those. As said, use as a listening map for a music appreciation lesson, use as part of a listening assignment, as you saw, I just was doing that, or as part of a listening journal. Okay, so it might be something that you give the kids a piece of music and one of the mind maps, and they use the mind map to make their form some ideas, and then do a journal entry using that information. Use as part of a composition. So again, planning their composition. How are they using pitch? How are they using tone color? How are they using duration? All those things. It's really good for them to connect that, what they're listening to and what they're actually doing as part of a composition. And again, as part of a performance as well, which again, my kids will be doing this year. The performance one, especially, actually they'll be doing both composition and performance. They're going to be sick of these mind maps. But the thing is, it's just about connecting what they are doing and making sure that they understand that the concepts of music are not something that's actually in isolation. Okay. And so don't forget, you can get them here. So the concepts of music, as I like a bit of color. So here we go. All right, I'm going to stop share. And we're going to almost finish now. But look, I hope that that's given you some ideas. As I said, I will show you. Got it up here. There it is. Okay, so let me just go back to that and share screen again. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. So here it is in my store. Okay, the concepts of music mind maps. Okay, there's 54 pages because I know there's only 6 concepts. However, there's 6 concepts plus a concepts of music mind map. And then there's the 2 other ones, which is for the instrument families and the other classifications, being either string family, percussion, blah, 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 or idiophone, quartophone, membranophone, the other type of classification, depending on what you're doing. Okay, so there you go. So that's the concepts of music mind maps, as you can see there. And here's the thing: if you want to get yourself save yourself some money, get the concepts of music bundle. Okay, that has got. Oops, hit myself in the head. This, okay, when I put this together, okay, and I actually have done it as one document for myself because I need it. It's nearly 600 pages. It's big. It's wonderful. Okay, I used it all last year, and there's one little bit more I've got to teach this year. So you can see there, though, what you can actually do with that. I said that was listed. That's fresh and hot off the press today. Literally today. I finished that one today because I'm not at work. Had all my lessons ready, and then they changed the timetable on me, and it was like, oh, okay. So I had to redo things, which is fine. It is what it is. Welcome to 2022, whatever it happens to be. So just will say thank you very much for watching. Okay, so that was the concepts of music mind maps, and I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources. Don't forget, you can go to my store, Teachers Pay Teachers, to go and have a look at a stack of resources. So as I said, I'm talking about the concepts of music at the moment. Okay, that is my thing. So I'm going to be talking about those this month and next month because I've got something coming in March. All right, teasing you out a little bit there. But don't forget, you can have a look at my blog, all the information's on my blog post as well if you need that for your kids or for yourself. Go and have a look and go and have a sticky beak. So again, as I said, I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources.